Okay. All right. Let's just do this. Let's go. Let's roll with this.
Okay.
I don't give a... Hey, welcome to Irritable Dad Syndrome. I am... What?
You'd think one of these days we would get the intro right.
We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. Hey.
Welcome to
Is
Irritable
that too
Dad
loud?
Syndrome.
Wait.
What?
Okay. Now, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about it?
I think it's...
Okay.
No. Okay.
All right. Hey. Hey.
Hello.
No. I want to do it this time.
Okay. You know what? You always say you want to do it, and then you don't.
Because we're going to go... Okay.
Okay. Are you going to do it or are you not?
I'm going to do it one time.
Okay.
I'm going to do it one time.
Okay.
Can you give me the countdown? Can you drop the numbers for me?
Okay. Here we go. And...
Welcome to Irritable Dad Syndrome, the Cadillac of podcasts. No, we're not sponsored by Cadillac, but wouldn't that be swell? Now, here are your hosts, Mike and Darin.
Hey, it's Irritable Dad Syndrome. I am Mike.
And I'm Darin. Welcome.
And welcome to the show. This is episode 30.
I can't believe we're at episode 30. I really didn't think we would... I didn't think we'd be around this long.
We're 3/5 of the way through the year. A year, Darin. Okay.
No, we're halfway through the year. We've... God,
There's
wow.
52 weeks in a year.
Right.
We're at week 30.
Okay.
3/5 of the year.
Well, that's more than half.
We're
then.
over.
That's
Yes,
more than
we're
half.
over. We're over halfway through.
It's more than half.
This has been math with the Irritable Dad Syndrome.
And you know what? I've got some math coming up in the episode. I've got a special math lesson for our Just Stop segment.
I know the burp is going to get edited out, but I really want to keep it because I think that was.
Well, you know what? Every week you're talking and then
I am. It's
you're always
because
holding it back.
I'm doing the monster.
And it's like just let a good one rip and then get it over with.
Okay, so this week, so last week we had a little bit of a conundrum in that our episode didn't get up on Apple Podcasts like immediately. So this is a little bit of housekeeping I want to take care of with people. I know that Apple Podcast is the most famous, the most popular, I guess is the better word, way
everybody bows down to Apple.
And when I look at our metrics, the vast majority of the downloads come through Apple Podcasts.
Right.
Having said that, I've noticed that they get our episodes up late. And Spotify is what I use, and they are consistently, the thing is up within 10 minutes of me uploading it. Right. It's on Spotify.
Right.
Or in 10 minutes of it going live.
Mm-hmm.
As of an hour, 2 hours ago, it still wasn't up on Apple Podcasts. And I was concerned that it had to do with the episode title, which the early birds out there knows that the original title of last week's episode was...
Confidence in Your Anus.
Which I thought was a wonderful title. But I also like the current title, which is, have you ever fist plunged a toilet?
Yeah.
It begs to question what is going to come from this podcast.
I know.
So I read that Apple will not only take down an episode, they will remove a podcast entirely from their brand if it becomes explicit and it wasn't labeled as explicit.
Right. And we don't do an explicit podcast.
No. But then I was thinking about the title, Confidence in Your Anus. And
it could be all about space and our planets.
Yeah.
The solar system.
If you can't spell. But I could see how someone could take that.
Uranus is spelled the same way as the planet. The body part and the planet are spelled the same.
Wow.
Are you saying they're not?
Are you okay? So you've had a colonoscopy.
Right.
Did they shove that camera into space near a planet?
It felt like it.
The episode is YOUR space anus. Anus.
Oh,
Jesus. This has been biology with Irritable Dad Syndrome. Where are we going to hit history?
And spelling?
And
oh my God, what is wrong with me?
You were positive that was. You were positive that you were right.
I was willing to take it all the way.
Impressive.
All the way. Yeah.
That's impressive.
No, it's not.
It is. It is impressive.
Quite sad.
Okay. Anyway, so I changed the title. I don't know if I'll change it back. Both titles are good, but anyway, the point of this is, if you're using Apple Podcast, I love all of our podcast, all the places that have our podcast. I just want to point out that I just want to say I'm sorry.
They're all fantastic.
They're wonderful. I want to say I'm sorry because we have a number of listeners in different areas. Mm-hmm. I just know when they download our podcast. I don't know if that's real creepy or big brothery, but we're not a huge podcast. So,
well, it's not like we tapped into some top secret spy gear thing.
Yeah.
You know, when you have a podcast, they give you all that information. You're able to tell who downloads it, when, and where they're coming from.
Right.
It's not like we're doing anything creepy.
In generalities, but I get used to a certain number of people from Tennessee, a certain number of people from Ohio.
Right.
We've got some fans in California. Mm-hmm. We have a fan in France.
And by the way, hello, fan in France.
And I think France is an Apple Podcast person because they have yet to download, and they're usually like right on it.
Oh, no, I don't want to lose our fan in France.
I don't. That's why I jumped.
Really
don't. That's honestly why I jumped on this, because I was worried that they weren't downloading it. And I wanted to advertise our podcast, mm-hmm. the Apple link, and I couldn't find it. And that's when I went down this rabbit hole.
Right.
I logged on to our account on Apple,
mm-hmm.
and it said it had not updated our podcast since 10 a.m. yesterday. So anyway, I know that's boring for all of you.
Well, but it's there now, right?
No.
It's
still not there.
Okay.
I mean, I'll double check, but I don't want to derail this episode.
I was going to say, well, the thing we're talking about, people are going to hear a week after.
Yeah.
Right, because we record our show in advance.
So, yes, it is there now.
Okay. There you go. Thanks for listening to Irritable Dad Syndrome, everybody.
But this episode isn't.
No.
There's some Twilight Zone.
It now.
No, but like next week when we're talking about it,
this is like that episode of Spaceballs. When did it happen? Right now.
You know, I do feel... One thing about the Spaceball, I do feel like I'm surrounded by...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We ain't found we watched that.
Did you really?
Oh yeah. I mean,
because I've been going back and forth on. You mean recently with your kids?
Yes, I remember watching it in the theater, thinking it's the funniest thing ever. And then this was like a couple of months ago. We got it out.
It doesn't age well.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And the boys were loving it. Libby was not loving it. Libby was just like, I don't know. She didn't understand where we thought the funnies were. And we watched that, and we also watched UHF with Weird Al.
Weird Al.
And that movie also doesn't age well either. Both of them, well, Weird Al, UHF is a cult classic. Spaceballs actually made a lot of money. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, the thing with Spaceballs, I know there's a scene where she's gone from blow to suck.
Gone from suck to blow.
Or suck to blow.
Right.
And that's what stops me from putting it in the player.
Right.
Because I don't want to field those questions from the audience, you know? Right. And I don't want to deal with the mm-hmm. sidelong glance I'm going to get.
Right.
Well, the old hairy eyeball from the spouse.
I'm telling you, the opening scene with the spaceship that comes through that takes like 7 minutes or however long it takes. That's still worth it.
Well, that one, and what's his face and Barf,
John Candy,
coming in with the John Bon Jovi playing.
Is it Bill Paxton or Bill Pullman?
Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman.
Yeah.
Yes. So Bill Pullman was on Letterman one time, and he was telling a story. He was at a like Kings Island or an amusement park, and he's on one of those roller coaster rides where you go down and then over and then down and then over and down, in line to get on the ride. And he crossed paths with this guy, and the guy looks at him, he says, I know you from somewhere. And he goes, nope, no, you never seen me. And then they cross each other again, and he asks him, he says, are you from whatever town? Nope, not from there. They pass each other again. He says, do you go to this particular church or store or something? Finally, by like the 5th time they cross each other, he goes, you were in Spaceballs. And he's like, yeah, you got me. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about something. Taco Bell Dr. Pepper bike. I got to tell this story.
Okay.
I was thinking about this today, is that there's tons of stories that I have. There's tons of stories that you have.
Right.
But my wife is always saying, well, have you told this story on the podcast? Have you told that one? And I usually respond, well, if you would listen to the podcast, you would know if I've told that story on the podcast, because you would have heard it.
So is the podcast becoming a sore spot in your marriage as well?
Yeah, it's like it starts Tuesday morning. Oh, tonight's podcast night. Oh, Does that mean I need to clean the bathroom? Yes. Get the off of the floor in the bathroom.
Which, by the way,
please.
I came up and happy to say that your bathroom has 4. 4 rolls of toilet paper. None of them are in the toilet.
That's
so
beautiful.
There you go.
4 dry rolls of toilet paper.
Dry rolls of toilet paper. That's how you want them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I said, yeah, there are stories. Now, there's some that I haven't told yet. I'm saving for like when we get up to episode 100 or 200, when we get to the point where I don't care if people in those stories come after me. Right now, this is still too much of a hobby to be throwing stories like that out, but I do have 1 or 2 stories from ye old college days. And these aren't as crazy as you think they're going to be. The first one is my Taco Bell Dr. Pepper bike. So
I can't wait.
A buddy of mine, Tay, a very good buddy of mine.
We've mentioned Tay on the show before.
Tay was my best man. Tay is from Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. Tay, whenever I tell people that I used to have a real heavy accent, redneck accent,
right?
And I lost it because there was a dude from Massachusetts that was always making fun of me, and I was making fun of him. That's Tay. Okay. He would say stupid like instead of saying it's 15 till, he would say it's 15 of 1 or 15 of 2.
Okay,
and I'd be like, that makes no sense.
Is he one of those guys who would say, "Hey, do you want to come with me to the store?" He would ask, "Hey, do you want to come with?"
He didn't do that.
Okay.
But he and I got along. We still get along. I mean, we were just messaging the other day. He is insane. He's out of his mind like I am, but he doesn't look like he's out of his mind. So you'll see him.
Like you do.
Yeah. You'll see him and you'll think, well, that looks like a normal guy that just probably goes to Bed Bath & Beyond, gets a couple of washcloths, maybe picks up a pork roast on the way home and has a normal, possibly a craft beer, watches a family television show and falls asleep briefly in front of the TV, and then goes to bed normally, wakes up and grinds his coffee like a normal, everyday, all-American dude.
You've put a lot of thought into this.
Yeah.
Okay.
He introduced me to the Doors, to Pink Floyd. I like Pink Floyd because, that was always playing in his room.
Okay.
I can go on and on about stories about Tay. Anyway, the only way that
what is Tay short for?
Taylor. Yeah. Okay. So the only reason he's in the story is because he happened to be with me when it happened.
And so this story has nothing to do with him.
No, but he's the guy in the background going, "That's awesome!" when awesome things happen.
It's a great thing that we devoted 12 minutes to him.
Yeah. So we are light on this episode, so we're gonna have to expand it somehow.
So Tay was wearing these shoes.
Yeah. So we go to Taco Bell. And this is in Athens. This is OU in Athens. Okay, you either go to Taco Bell or you go to Burger King.
Right.
All right. If you're a psychopath, you get in your car and you go to McDonald's. If you're a true OU student, you walk uptown, you go to Burger King or Taco Bell.
Okay.
Yes, there's things like Wings and Rings, and now there's Dalt's, and there's like towny places to go.
Dalt's?
Yeah.
What is that?
Let's talk about Dalt's at another time.
Okay.
We're not going to talk about Dalt's right now because I have a lot to say about Dalt's. Okay. We go to Taco Bell. There's a one of these things like you fill out your name and whatever, and you can enter to win something.
Right.
A Dr. Pepper bike. And I start entering it because I'm like, it's so ridiculous. It's so stupid to me. It's in the Dr. Pepper collars. It's in the Diet Dr. Pepper collars.
Is it like a motorcycle or a bicycle?
No, a bicycle.
Okay.
It's like white and with that Dr. Pepper maroony color, whatever that is, purple. I don't know what that is.
Do they have it in a girl bike and a boy bike?
Yeah. It's a normal unisex bike. It's like a mountain bike. Did you hear that?
Did I hear that?
It's like a yawning buffalo walked by.
Did I hear that? Yeah, you did it right in the microphone, and I'm wearing headphones. Yes, I heard that.
So anyway,
of course I heard that.
I fill out one entry.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this is one of those things where people like make multiple entries. I make one entry.
Right.
I forget about it, as one does. And then it was like a week or two later, I get a call, and me, Tay, Box, and Ben all lived in a house on Mill Street, the 4 of us.
Right.
And it was a dump, but we thought it was awesome. And I get a call. This is Taco Bell. Is this Mike? It's like, yeah. Like, you want a Dr. Pepper bike. And I was like, I just like in the movies, where somebody like repeats what is said to them so the other person can hear it. I did that. I was like, I want a Dr. Pepper bike. And Tay was in the room. He's like, no, like no, what? From the other side of the room. And we had to go immediately and get the bike. And he was so giddy that I was getting a Dr. Pepper bike. So we got the Dr. Pepper bike. I started riding that bike to class. And everyone was asking, where'd you get a Dr. Pepper bike? Because you just don't see them. And it was blatantly Dr. Pepper. Okay. So
do you have pictures of this bike?
I may. I don't know if I do.
Okay.
I didn't get a bike lock for it because my rationale was, who's going to steal a Dr. Pepper bike? It's going to be obvious that it's not your bike.
Right.
So probably about 2 or 3 months later, it gets stolen. Right out in front of the engineering building.
Man.
I had to walk home.
Why do bad things happen to good people?
And I'm sad. A few weeks after that, and my timeline's messed up because this was a long time ago. We're walking in the same area that it got stolen, and I see my Dr. Pepper bike locked up at a bike rack with a bike lock on it. And I was like, that is my bike. So we call the police, and they come, and they see it, and I'm like, this is my bike. And I'm with Tay. I'm with multiple people from my mod. There were 2 other people there. And they all attested.
People from your mod?
Mod.
Okay. I thought that was short for Alma.
A whole different
Modder.
thing. No.
Okay. I wasn't in a
They were also weren't from my ma in terms of they were my brothers and sisters. These were just people in my mod.
Gotcha.
And we actually got them to tried to, I don't remember what they did, but somehow I got the bike back. I had to fill out a police report and I got the bike back.
Okay.
I still didn't buy a bike lock. I had it for another couple of months. It got stolen again. And I was like, now I'm embarrassed. Okay. So, cautionary tale, kids, I didn't pay for this bike. The only way I got this bike, I won the bike.
Right.
So I didn't have any skin in the game. So it didn't bother me that it kept getting stolen that much because I'm not out any money. All right. I know that's psychopathic to think that way, but that's the way I was thinking.
Right.
A few weeks after that, I get a call from the police. They remember me from the first time. And is this Mike Odell? Yeah. Do you filed a police report and you had a bike returned to you? Yeah. And they said, we have a bike here we believe may be yours. And I was like, well, that's interesting because I did lose a bike. And they said, can you describe it?
I said, actually, I can.
It looks like a bottle of Dr. Pepper. They just started laughing. They're like, yeah, you're the guy. Come down here and get your bike. So I went and got my bike. It was in the impound, like the campus security.
Right.
They had it behind the thing.
Oh, were there like the nasty dogs that guarded it overnight?
I know.
Okay.
So I got the bike again.
Okay.
Guess what I didn't do?
You didn't buy a bike lock?
No. It got stolen one more time. And I never bothered. They didn't bother to call me. And I moved out of that house. So this is over the span of a year. So after that, I was living in a different place. Okay. I don't think they bothered to call me, and I never checked up on it. I'm pretty sure that it's probably been auctioned off to like kids somewhere at some place, but the Dr. Pepper bike is gone.
I've got to see a picture of this bike.
Now listen to me.
Okay.
Fast forward. Bess and I used to live in Troy, Ohio, and there was a place there called Dunaway's that we love. Dunaway's Beef and Ale. You get beef sandwiches and you get ale. They also have a chili cook-off every year.
Wait.
Yeah.
What 2 things did they sell at Dunphy's? What's it called?
Dunphy's. No, Dunaway's. They sold ale and beef.
Okay.
And you could get beef and ale. And they had a third thing that they added in. every year they had a chili cook-off. Okay. And whoever won the chili cook-off, that would be the chili that they would serve all year, and then until the next cook-off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was always a hot as chili. Chili that would make you just smack your dog. It's so hot.
Slap your mama chili.
Yeah. Wonderful. We went there with Andrew. So if that tells you anything, I was in college. I graduated in 98. Andrew, this is in the 2000s that we go back to Dunaway's, hanging up on the wall as a contest thing that you could win is the same freaking bike.
Okay.
Dr. Pepper. It was the same color scheme. Now, not the exact same bike.
Okay.
But a new Dr. Pepper bike, which begs many questions. One, how popular is the Dr. Pepper style of bike that it keeps showing up in contests over the span of 20 years?
Yeah, I think for novelty, I mean, I don't know. I personally wouldn't steal. No, I probably would. Of all the stupid things I've stolen in my life, I probably would have stolen it too.
So I entered the contest.
I never did. Did you win it?
No, but I told the waitress. We told her, look,
and we told her she loved hearing the story.
I didn't tell this. The story wasn't.
If it was as great as how you told me tonight,
the story wasn't as long as what I just made you and the audience sit through. I gave her a truncated version. I had this bike. It was stolen from me like 3 times, and I never went back to get it. I really should win this. I was trying to, say, just give me the damn bike. I deserve it.
Right.
I don't think they agreed. So I don't have the bike.
That's a shame.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I didn't even like Dr. Pepper then. I love it now.
Oh, Dr. Pepper's great.
Yeah.
We'd love to have Dr. Pepper be a sponsor for the podcast.
We would.
Yeah.
Diet Dr. Pepper, not the normal Dr. Pepper.
Either way, nothing burps like Dr. Pepper. I know that.
This does. This does.
Don't do that again.
I'm going to tell you about the Court Street Shuffle.
Okay.
Next.
Fantastic.
All right.
Was this the Bruce Springsteen and the Court Street Shuffle?
So, people who go to OU, who have been to OU in Athens, Ohio University, not the Ohio University, stop that. You Ohio State. Every time I run into somebody, it's like, oh, is it the Ohio University? No, it's not the Ohio University. We're confident in ourselves and our college. We don't have to put a "the" in front of it.
I went to the East Tennessee State University.
No, not just a or an. It would be an
the
East Tennessee
State University.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers.
Okay. So there's a thing at OU called the Court Street Shuffle, or at least there used to be before they moved all the in that go there now. Maybe they still have it. I don't know.
We're going to have to get another duck for this episode.
I might bring in a pig. I'm thinking about putting oinks in this thing instead of quacks.
Right.
Anyway, the Court Street Shuffle, there's 23, or there were, when I was there were 23 bars in a line. Okay.
Okay.
And the Court Street Shuffle is you and a number of your other friends who are poor at making decisions bring yourself in a white t-shirt and you bring a Sharpie. It's okay if you bring a Sharpie, one Sharpie for the whole group. Okay.
Right.
You start out at the Smiling Skull Saloon. The reason you start out at the Smiling Skull Saloon is that if you're not a townie, you do not want to have any alcohol in you at all when you walk into the Smiling Skull Saloon, because you want to be able to walk out of there without getting hurt.
Okay.
It's a townie bar. It's a biker bar. It's an experience the first time you walk in there. Now, over the span, I was at OU for 5 years. My last 2 years there, I lived very close to the Smiling Skull, and I went in there all the time. So I reached almost, never quite townie level, but pretty close.
Okay.
As close as a student can get.
Okay.
Okay. So you start at the Smiling Skull, and then you progress through the bars. And I don't know if I can remember. It was Smiling Skull. There was a Nickelodeon. The Greenery was the last bar. The Pub, which was featured in Playboy.
Okay.
It was one of the bars that was featured when OU was ranked the top party school in the United States. The Pub was the bar that they went to, the Playboy group. So they had a plaque on their wall. They're proud of it.
Wow.
Okay. But you go through, and the bars progressively get more and more student-friendly until the final bar is the Greenery. I've heard it's not there anymore. Mm-hmm. Thank God somebody finally wisened up and knocked that place down. The Greenery was the place, one of the 2 bars that would allow people who were 18 to come in. I can't remember what the other one was.
It's so nice that one of the bars allows.
Yeah.
You guys can't go over there, but y'all can come in here.
Yeah, exactly. So the Greenery had
wait around here for 3 years.
They had a coating on the floor at any given point that was just sticky, and you didn't know what it was. You told yourself that it was old beer that didn't get mopped up.
It's not.
But if you went in when the place opened, it already had a stickiness to it.
Right.
And that's just wrong. The Greenery is the place where you can be as loud and stupid as you want. Naturally, that's the place where the Court Street Shuffle ends.
Okay.
At that point, you have 22 drinks in you. You've had 22 random strangers because
there's no way I can do that.
Every time you get a drink in a bar, you have a stranger write, something on your shirt.
Okay.
The night it's a brilliant concept because the night progresses, even though you're getting more and more tanked as the night goes, so is everyone in the town. and you're getting to more insane, weird bars as you go. So people are getting more and more creative on the shirt. By the time you get somebody to sign your shirt at the Greenery, they're just as likely to puke on you as they are to write on your shirt.
Right.
You get through, you save that shirt for the rest of your life. I don't know where mine is.
I was going to say, where is your shirt?
And then you can proclaim that you went to the Court Street Shuffle.
Okay.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I loved it. And I'm saying it's brilliant like this is a British podcast. It's not. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
It's quite brilliant,
It's
mate.
brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, years ago I went to Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
And I had the same idea with the shirt. I was going to, and there's no better way to meet, strange girls and say, "Hey, will you sign my T-shirt?"
Yeah.
It didn't work. And so we're there, and oh my God, it's like 99 degrees or something, and they had all the sprinklers to cool everybody off, and my shirt gets soaked by the time the first act was on. So my shirt's soaking wet. You can't even sign it anyway.
Yeah.
And I had 2 people autograph it earlier on in the day, and then that just smudged and smeared. And so all you see is like this Rorschach test. And then I lost the marker, and I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
she wasn't going to talk to me anyways. So I just let it go. You were talking about going to bars.
Yeah.
And in college, it reminds me of a story when I was at the East Tennessee State University.
Yeah.
I didn't drink. I didn't drink until my 5th year of school. And that's the truth. I never got drunk in high school.
You're one of those guys.
One of those guys.
Okay.
I mean, I caught up in the 90s once I started working at the TV station. But that's another story for another podcast. So my friends in the broadcasting department, they had this drinking competition. Now, I don't know the rules of this drinking competition.
It's going to end in a hospital visit.
I don't know if it was a quantity
Yeah.
consumption.
Typically they are.
I don't know if it was a time limit. All I know is it lasted all semester.
Okay.
It was like there
Wow.
were like playoffs.
Yeah.
And you win this week and then you can come back and compete next week. I didn't drink, so I don't understand. But all I know is the winner of this competition becomes the Pope.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
You win this competition, you become the Pope. Now, again, I don't understand any of these rules at all. I wasn't paying any attention because I wasn't drinking. So it's the end of the semester. We had our broadcasting.
You don't literally become the Pope.
Again, I don't know the rules. I don't know the rules to this.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming that that whoever wins didn't convert to Catholicism and then move out to the Vatican and do this. All I know is, so it's like the end of the semester.
Yeah.
And I decided that there was a broadcasting party, and I decided I'm going to have a drink. And somebody there had not just rum, but dark rum.
What's the difference between dark rum and
you don't want to get drunk on dark rum. That's the difference.
Is spiced rum? Spiced rum is regular. Is that the dark?
It was the dark spiced rum. So I'm mixing that with Sprite, and I don't know how many I had. I had enough.
Yeah.
And it made me so sick. Okay. And I was just heaving in the backyard. And I remember I went to bed and woke up the next morning just hungover as anybody has ever been before.
A dark liquor is your first experience.
Is not good.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first thing that came through my mind was, oh God, I'm the Pope. I became the Pope. And I was so afraid that I had become the Pope.
Oh.
And one of the guys in the broadcasting department worked at WQUT, the radio station in Johnson City, Kingsport, Bristol, 101.5 FM on the dial. So I called him up.
Yeah.
Here I am calling a radio station on a Sunday morning to find out if I'm the Pope.
Is it like that's like that guy on YouTube or whatever that called the police because he was or called 911 because he thought him and his girlfriend were dying from pot? Have you heard that?
No.
Okay, this is what this is starting to remind me of.
Right.
All right.
But anyway, so I call him up. He answers, and I'm like, "Hey, man, it's Darin." He goes, "Oh, hey, Darin, how are you today?" Because he was there. Yeah. He saw all that I had consumed.
Yeah.
And I just broke down. I got really serious. I'm like, "Am I the Pope?"
Hopefully he said yes.
You can almost hear tears coming out. He goes, no. He says it was a valiant effort. No, unfortunately, Darin, you did not become the Pope. So,
okay,
you'd think that experience would have stopped me.
Well, see, here's the deal.
Okay.
Now, I didn't drink until my first year of college. So I wasn't a high school drinker or whatever.
Right.
So I just got you beat by a few years in that, coming into college. If you go into the because by the time you get to the workforce, as it's called,
right,
you're dealing with a lot of people that have a lot of experience through college drinking. That's where you end up with these potpourri games.
With the what games?
Potpourri games.
Potpourri?
Potpourri. That's what you did. You became a pope.
Oh, I thought you meant like potpourri, the stuff that girls buy and put on in like wooden bowls on the.
I think I've bought potpourri before too.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Assuming the gender of potpourri buyers. It might be time for a very special episode of Irritable Dad Syndrome.
They love potpourri. They love baskets. They love candles that they don't light. They love throw pillows.
Okay. We interrupt our program for a special announcement. Congratulations to Steve Farrell, Irritable Dad Syndrome's Listener of the Week. This has been a special announcement.
Okay, I've got to tell this story. I didn't really want to tell this story, but that was before I got halfway through the monster drink.
Okay.
I may have told this story before. I know I've told you this story before, but this needs to be recorded for posterity's sake. It's the Star Wars drunk Yoda story.
Okay.
So this is episode 1. When episode 1 came out, and if you
The Phantom Menace.
Now the kids out there don't remember this, but it was a big deal when the Phantom Menace was coming out. Try to Darin, take your brain back to a time before it had released.
I remember.
Okay? It was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
You didn't know Jar Jar was going to be in it.
No.
You didn't know.
We didn't know it was going to suck ass.
Yeah. You didn't know that Natalie Portman was going to fall in love with a 9-year-old. You didn't know any of these things. You didn't know that weird, whatever that accent is of the aliens at the beginning, where they sound like it's an uncomfortable, almost like a mockery of Chinese. You know what I'm talking about?
We didn't know that there was going to be like some weird Martian who looked like Greedo.
Yeah.
Or no, who looked like Gonzo. I'm sorry, Gonzo from the Muppets, with the voice of Cheech Marin and like a cigarette in his mouth, flying around. What's his name? Watto. Oh my God! That was the first sign.
I liked Watto.
No, you didn't.
I did.
You didn't. I'm watching.
Annie, what it is?
Hey man, how about the? Hey, Vato, man.
Anyway,
it's just like, God, what are they?
So before any of that, before people knew any of that stuff,
I hate that movie.
People were so pumped, especially people you're my age who grew up on Star Wars. It was like, oh my God. Not only are they making a new one, it's George Lucas is making a new one. This is going to be amazing.
What could go wrong?
It's going to be the rise of Darth Vader. Because you remember the posters had the little boy and then the shadow of Darth Vader. It was like, okay, so that was the excitement. Now, there were lines everywhere, like months. And I'm not exaggerating.
No, you're not.
I used to live in Huntington, West Virginia. And me and my roommate worked at the same place, and we worked 4/10s.
Okay.
So every Friday we had off. Every Friday we would go to BW3s. The BW3s in Huntington was within sight of the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not kidding. A month before that thing was released, there were people out there. So we would sit in BW3s, have a lot of beers, and look out, and we would see, people dressed up like Darth Vader, like Yoda and everything else standing out there in line. Because the ones that are in front of the line are the hardcore ones that are dressed up. There were tents.
Right.
It was a big deal.
It was a big deal, yes.
Okay, so this is it's in Huntington. It's still a city. There was a city block. So they were around the block lined up. It kept going and going until the night of the release. We were there at the B-dubs getting schnackered.
Yes.
And I think it was me. So it probably was me. I'm not doubting you. I'm probably the one that said, let's go see if we can get in to see this movie. And it sounds funny to me now, so I probably did, because it was ludicrous. We've seen the same people out there for a month. Okay. So we stumbled down to the theater. Now, the way they had it set up, the Keith Albee had 2 ticket takers, okay, out in front. This is an old style. If you look this up on the interwebs, it's not there anymore. But it was like the old style, like the gold and stuff. I mean, it's like a really old theater. They had a ticket taker for The Phantom Menace and a ticket taker for the other 5 movies that no one gives a shit about. Okay?
Right.
So we go up to that.
I'm surprised that any theater at that time had any other movie showing. Now, I mean, it's like I know that the smart thing to do is what's called counter programming.
Yeah.
So when you have a sci-fi adventure like Star Wars, you're also going to show like the remains of the day, so that the 4 out there who aren't the only people who aren't interested in seeing this will have something else. Yeah,
Follow That Bird.
Yeah. Oh God, I wish I'd went to see Follow That Bird.
I would have gone to see Follow That Bird.
Yeah. So yes, counter programming.
Now, anyone that's really paying attention and listening to this story will think, well, why didn't you just go buy a ticket for some other movie and then just walk into The Phantom Menace?
Right.
That would have been a very intelligent thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we were drunk and we thought this was hilarious. So we went up to, I remember it was a girl, and I think she was in her 20s, so we're in our 40s, so it was definitely a girl. We weren't in our 40s then.
So anyway, no. What's you being in your 40s
have to
do with her being a girl?
I'm 83 right now, Darin.
Okay, no, that's true.
Okay,
I was in my 40s, so she was definitely a girl.
We go up to her.
I know what girls are.
Now you've got
at this age.
You've got a drunk Mike,
right?
Okay, in his 20s.
Were you hugging people?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I don't know. Probably was. We bypassed. I remember there was a Darth Vader who was in line, and there were a couple of Queen Amidala's. You remember, because she has the funky hair?
Yes.
So they had wigs with the funky hair.
Yes.
They were all up front. We walk right in front of them, and I say to the lady, which is this? She's like, this is for Phantom Menace, this is for all the other movies. I was like, I'll go to the lady with all the other movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, as charming as I can be, I need you to sell me 3 tickets to go see The Phantom Menace. And she laughed. And I thought, yeah, okay. And then we're going to leave. And she said, okay.
Right.
And I almost myself. So I'm giving her the money. Now, Neil is my roommate. He starts going off like, no effing way.
Right.
Oh, my God. And I'm getting the tickets. Meanwhile, over my left shoulder, I hear the guy in the Darth Vader. Now, he's wearing he's got the it has the voice modulator to make him sound like Darth Vader, but it's the classic sound like Darth Vader, and you put it in it makes you sound like you have one
asthma.
Of those trachea things. I hear that yelling, stop, it's not going to yelling about us being in the thing. We get the tickets. I'm just enough of a dick. These are back in the days of physical tickets, not on your phone or anything. Right. I'm just enough of a dick to turn around and wave the tickets at the Darth Vader, and we walk in. Okay.
Now you're in the same theater. It's they're going to find you.
Let's recall.
Although, I mean, he can't do anything to you because he's a nerd and a Darth Vader. So what's he going to do? Call his mom?
There's a fact to remember here. Back then, I was kind of a...
No.
I don't know if,
Really?
I don't know if you can believe that, but I was kind of
I'm going to have to get some evidence to back this claim.
The beauty of the Keith Albee is it has a balcony. Okay. And the balcony had been closed for years. They opened it up for the screening of Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
We go up there because we're thinking we need to get away from the Darth Vader and all these, because they're going to be coming through. They're going to be looking for us. So we go up to the balcony, and there's a news lady, and she is interviewing a guy in a Yoda costume. And he is drunk off his green ass.
This has been a big night for local news.
He's at least... He's at least 6 feet tall. He was a little bit taller than me.
He's way taller than Yoda.
He had that's what made it hilarious. And he had a Yoda mask, and he had a bathrobe.
Ooh, stuff I am.
Yeah,
yes,
he was like,
yourself, you
so
will,
yes. So she would say, she was saying, "Are you excited? Are you excited about the new movie?" Oh, yeah. And I remember he fell over, and he caught himself on one of the chairs, like he just stumbled. And she's like, "I remember
he didn't have his cane."
I remember her snickering a little bit and saying, "Are you going to be okay?" "Yes, okay, I am. Yes."
She's like,
"I lost
I've
it.
Got to get out of. Get out of this line of work."
I'm yelling, "It's a drunk Yoda," as loud as I can. I saw other people that I knew there. Didn't see the movie at all. I mean, we were in the theater.
So you took somebody's ticket.
But nobody saw the movie.
Right.
Listen,
Right.
the sound wasn't loud enough. Everyone there had the lightsabers, the toy lightsabers.
Oh, God.
And they were swinging them around and cheering at everything. When R2-D2 came on the screen, the cheering went on and on for minutes.
Bruce Springsteen, it's a trash can.
When Ewan McGregor and the other guy, Taken, started swinging the lightsabers and fighting as Jedi, people were cheering. Every time a lightsaber was lit, people were cheering. When Darth Maul did his dual lightsaber thing, I think babies were had.
Yes.
There was so much screaming.
People became pregnant.
But I had no idea what the story was. I didn't know anything. I couldn't hear it. And I had to go back like 3 days later. I saw it in a different theater and actually got the sense of it.
Libby and I lived together when that movie came out. We were so excited to see it. And our neighbors, Chris and Heather, great couple, and we used to go out with them a lot, and they used to always play pranks on us, and we played pranks on them, and I believe I've told some stories of that on this podcast. We went on a double date to see The Phantom Menace, and we're all just excited out of our mind, and like you said, everyone was screaming when the crawl came on the screen. The John Williams score opens up, and everyone's losing their mind, and then like 5 minutes into it, our theater just got really quiet. And you could occasionally see someone kind of just like looking around like, am I the only person not enjoying
Did this become a Power Rangers movie all this?
What happened to Star Wars? And anyway,
and then there's always the jerk saying, now the original movies were made for children too. And it's like, not like this.
Not like this, no.
Not with robots walking around going, Roger, Roger. That still me off that exists.
He's so good.
I think the robots that say Roger, Roger are more annoying than Jar Jar.
Anyway, we got in the car and we're driving home, and it's just a weird vibe. And finally, Heather, she says, I didn't like it. I'm just going to say it out loud. I didn't like it. Yeah. And the rest of us like, thank God.
Oh.
And then, you know what? Everybody was out of their minds about this movie. And that's all people were talking about. It's like, I saw Star Wars, and what's going to happen in the next one? And I was one of the few who's like, guys, I thought it sucked.
Yeah.
And my group of friends like, well, you don't understand science fiction. I'm like, I understand science fiction. This happened to be garbage fiction crap. I hated it.
Yeah.
I just hated it. Hated
See,
it.
I love the Darth Maul stuff, but I think I think that was fan service.
Yeah. I don't know.
And mainly because it had the dual lightsaber. When Attack of the Clones.
Whatever.
When Attack of the Clones, I feel like they owe me money. And not for my ticket, just I feel like I'm owed money for that existing.
Yes.
For taking up time in my life.
I agree.
I thought Revenge of the Sith was fine.
No, it wasn't.
I thought it was fine.
No, it was horrible.
But yeah. So there you go.
Well, speaking of movies, last week the topic of movie musicals came out, and I had mentioned that I liked the movie Grease. And Mike, I could have said that I was into Scientology.
I would rather you say that.
Mike's like, whoa. You never told me that you liked the movie Grease.
It makes me reevaluate our friendship.
And I'm like, there's lots of things that I haven't told you. We've only known each other for like 7 years or something. There's all kinds of, it's like, Yeah. So anyway, we almost had to go to couples counseling because Mike wouldn't stop going on and on and on about how he won't watch The Greatest Showman and I won't watch John Wick. And so we decided that what we were going to do on this particular episode is that we're going to ask each other some questions that we don't know about each other.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to know each other a little bit better.
Now I'm following your lead on this because you were trying to explain how you were going to do it. And I still don't understand.
You were beside yourself with confusion and anger because you didn't know I liked the movie Grease.
Yeah.
And my point is, why would you? I've never mentioned it. So it's not like I'm hiding some deep, dark secret or anything. So anyway, we're going to ask each other some questions.
Okay.
So Mike, what was your very first rock concert?
Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh God, seriously?
Oh boy. We're going there already? We're already going there. Ask me what my second rock concert was.
Okay, what was your second rock concert?
Pink Floyd.
Oh man, I would have loved to have seen Pink Floyd.
Suck it. If you'd seen Smashing Pumpkins, you might have got to see Pink Floyd after that.
No, Smashing Pumpkins are fine.
Let me tell you something about the Smashing Pumpkins if I can. I didn't like them.
Okay.
When I went to go see it, I just went to go see a show, and it was actually Dan that we went to see the Joshua Tree with. He got the tickets. Him and a couple other friends, we went to go see it. During the course of the show, I turned into a Smashing Pumpkins fan.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I'm very selective with them now.
It just shows how much older I am than you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm only 5 years older, but my first rock concert was Bryan Adams and Survivor. So,
did they do Eye of the Tiger?
Yeah.
Did they really?
Oh, hell yeah. They closed with Eye of the Tiger. Of course they're going to do Eye of the Tiger. This is the Vital Signs tour.
Jesus.
And now nobody remembers Survivor. But anyway, yeah, that shows how old I am. So, what was the first CD that you ever bought?
Oh, Lord. Well, this is probably not going to be a surprise to you. I'm pretty sure it was Octung Baby.
Octung Baby, yeah.
Actually, no. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
The first CD that I bought, there were 3. Okay. I think the first one that I actually physically bought was Even Better Than a Real Thing remixes, which is from U2, Octung Baby. But I remember having 3 CDs. I had 3 CDs before I had a CD player. I had that remix, and it was basically because at the time that was rare. It's extremely rare now. I wanted to have it. I felt like I needed to have Octung Baby on CD, and I had Automatic for the People, which is another one of my all-time favorite
REM.
CDs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was my birthday, and my mom was going to give me a CD player for I can't remember what birthday this was.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year this was. So my brother thought it would be a great idea to give me to give me my birthday present from him before Mom did. So he gives me a CD.
Okay.
So I got Weird Al Yankovic, Even Worse. And I'm like, great, a CD. So that must be what's in that box over there. And Mom was, because she spoiled the whole surprise. So that was the first CD I ever had. But the first one I ever bought was the Police Greatest Hits. And on that, they did a new version of Don't Stand So Close to Me.
Yeah, I have that. I have that. Yeah.
So that was the first CD that I had ever bought.
That was the first CD that I was like, okay, I'm going to like the Police. I feel like I should like the Police.
Yeah.
And they continue to be a band with me to where I can't listen to a full CD of theirs all the way through. Now, Sting, I can. I love Sting.
I agree.
But the Police,
I totally agree. They as good as the Police were, their albums, I can't think of a full album that held my interest start to finish.
There's a lot of bands like that in the 80s, from what I remember.
Right.
Is Stump Woodley starting some?
Yeah, Bob. He said that Bob Eubanks needs to host this Newlywed Game segment. funny stuff. So, Mike, what's your biggest phobia?
Oh Lord. I think being trapped or confined.
Oh, so you're claustrophobic?
Yeah, I've gotten claustrophobic. I actually no, because Bess is probably when Bess listens to this, she's going to be screaming at the podcast: deep water, natural water, the ocean, like deep water.
Okay,
like anything like that.
Okay,
yeah.
And finally, what was the most trouble you ever got in school?
College or
anyone, high school, elementary school, college.
Hi, this is Dave Lay. Mike and Darin either forgot what they were talking about or rambled on about something unfunny or inappropriate, and they decided to delete a chunk of the podcast. So here I am to cover the edit and hold this gem of a podcast together. We now return you to your show already in progress.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions for me? This awkward pause.
What is the most trouble that you got into, sir?
Oh, I never got into any trouble in school.
Oh
no. I was always getting in trouble for stupid things. Not talking in class and not doing my homework. Yeah. And I remember one time, this was in high school. It was fourth period, and the intercom comes on, and they asked for the teacher, and it ding, and I said yes. And the teacher instantly pointed to me and she says, "That's a detention."
Oh, my. Wow.
And all I did was answer the intercom. And she says, "I am not going to have the office or anybody think that I am not in control of this class."
Whoa.
And I got detention for saying yes.
Sounds like somebody was on a performance improvement plan, and you were the unlucky little that said something. There was a teacher. I got 2 stories for you real quick. There was a teacher that was taking me from the classroom to the office. I wasn't in trouble or anything. It was just they needed to talk to me in there.
Right.
And I don't remember what I said, but I remember her looking down at me. I was in grade school, and she said, "Don't you get fresh with me." I don't know what I said. I remember the walk. I was in 4th grade. I have no idea what I said. And then when I thought of that story, when Andrew and Charlie, have hit those ages, Charlie's coming up on it. What could I have possibly said that pissed her off? I don't know what it was.
Right.
And I also got paddled in 1st grade.
Oh, I got paddled.
So there was a kid in my class in 1st grade that had one of those balloons. When you blow them up, they look like a. You know what I'm talking about?
I love. Oh yeah. I know those balloons.
The big banana balloons that look like a big.
Yes.
So he blew it up. 1st grade, put it down by his crotch, and he let it go. And he yelled out, "Oh my God, my flew off!" So. I thought that was hilarious. So I got the balloon, this in completely unsanitary. I blew it up to where I looked like I had a big, and I let it go. Right then, the teacher walks in, and I yell, "My flew off!" Out in the hall. Paddled, both of us.
Right.
I told Bess that, I think Bess almost left me, I think, because of that story. Because we were having the same discussion, and I was like, "Yeah, I got paddled." When did you get paddled? It's like she thought I was going to say like middle school. I was like, 1st grade.
1st grade.
Saying my flew off of the balloon, and she just stared at me.
Yeah, back in the day, teachers could actually paddle kids
with wooden beating tools.
My bus driver, her nickname was Bird, and she. I found out.
She have tattoos on her record?
No, but I don't know if she had a record or not. Yeah. I found out just a couple of years ago that they nicknamed her Bird because she had a big bird nose.
That's not nice.
But as a kid, I thought she was called Bird because she was famous for giving people the middle finger. And she had a paddle.
Yeah.
With a middle finger drawn on it.
No, she did not.
Oh, she did.
Oh.
She did. And she had holes drilled through it so that it would be more aerodynamic when she spanked you with it.
Yeah.
And there's the character of the bus driver on South Park? Sit down and shut up!
Yeah.
That was my bus driver. She would take that thing, haul off, and hit right above her mirror where she could look back and see all the students. And it looked like it was riddled with bullet holes.
Oh my God.
She had hit, she broke it in half one time. Grabbed the paddle, hit it, it busted in half, and she was just telling us to sit down and shut. There were a couple kids who got in a fight on the bus once. She stopped the bus and dragged them both out and had them stand in the road. And she says, "You're not fighting on my bus. Finish it here."
This is the 80s. This is the 80s.
Yeah. This is the 70s.
Oh,
I forget. 78 or 79 or something. Right. And she let all the kids
make you stand on the road, dodge some cars for a while. That'll teach you.
This was Belfast, Virginia. This is an old dirt road. Okay, gravel and dirt road. And she let all the kids get off or at least walk over to the windows and look and watch.
Yeah.
And so all these 2 kids were on the spot. And they had to just both be a couple of He's like, I don't want to fight, and I don't want to fight you either. And they're like, they were embarrassed.
Oh,
and they had to get back on the bus, and everybody was like, "Oh, nice fight,"
Yeah.
And these were our role models when I grew up. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Well, listen, I've got the past couple of weeks, I've gotten a message. From one of our fans, Stump Woodley, and he says, "Hey, you forgot Just Stop." And I was like, "Nice, thanks for paying attention."
Yeah, somebody listens to this.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody's listening. So it's not that we forgot. We haven't had a Just Stop segment, but I have
had
one.
Very many ideas for this show for a while.
We're completely out of ideas.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have a Just Stop for this week.
Okay.
And the Just Stop, and I have a feeling that this is going to happen in neighborhoods all across this great United States of ours. Every year as soon as the temperature is like above 55 degrees, I have a neighbor who's out mowing his grass. He just has to be the first person.
Is it Chris Michael? Is it Chris Michael? Just say it. Is it?
No, it's not Chris Michael.
All right.
It's not.
I still like Chris Michael.
I like him too. He's a good guy. But there is a person in our neighborhood, like 2 or 3 houses down, who just the second his grass gets a quarter of an inch, got to be out there and mow it. Just stop, okay? You don't win a prize being the first person to cut your grass. Now, I mentioned earlier that I was going to do some what's called yard math, okay? This is my philosophy. So many people are obsessed with getting their grass cut before everybody else. This is what I do. When my neighbor cuts his grass, I wait 2 or 3 days, and then I cut mine. So his grass is shorter than mine for 3 days. I cut mine. My grass is shorter than his for 4 days.
You're a petty.
Oh.
So you're doing the same thing that he's doing. You're just doing the other side of it. You're like a yin and a yang.
But I'm not the first person who I've got to mow mine first. I've got to be the first person to show everybody that I have an electric or a gas powered motor.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell. I can't even. What? Just stop competing and being the first person to cut your grass.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
So
who cares? Who cares? I don't care. I keep moving my camera around to mess.
I know. I don't know why you're doing that.
I'm playing with the angles.
All right. So how many episodes ago was it that we did Gut Your Pop-Tart?
That was episode 29. No, 25.
Okay. So
by the way, the Apple podcast updated. So
great.
It is up.
So we're gonna do something before we head out.
Gut Your Pop-Tart is episode 25.
Okay. It looks like good Lord, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention episode 20. What?
5.
On episode 25, we did a show called Gut Your Pop-Tart, and our special guest was Don Smith from the Life Radio Show.
It was probably one of our best shows because it had somebody other than us in it.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was a really good.
It was really good.
He was our first guest.
Yeah.
And he was phenomenal, and he was nice enough to have us on his show when we first started this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, he made an announcement that he is going to wrap up the Life Radio Show. After 6 years on the radio and 4 years of being a podcast, he was gonna hang up the headphones and take a break and do something different. So
dream it all up again.
Exactly. So we wanted to thank Don, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna play some audio. After we stopped recording the podcast, we kept rolling. And Don just kept talking and talking and talking. We couldn't get him to stop because he was so great to talk to. So we've got some unheard audio from Don Smith that we're going to play as a little tribute and a way to say goodbye to the Life Radio Show.
I haven't stopped recording anything yet.
I didn't figure.
Yeah.
We just have this long pause, and it's like, is this motherfucker starting again?
Exactly. Tell me something, Don. How many shows did you do before you went back? Because Mike and I both went back and listened to our first one.
Oh, Lord.
And now we listened to that one. Now we're comparing it to this. And
I will tell you that editing this last one was, I feel like, the guy on Saving Private Ryan at the very beginning that's laying on the beach with his guts hanging out screaming for his mom.
Right.
That's what I felt like at the end of the day after editing that damn thing. Because
I'll tell you, here's the secret to my success and why I'm able to do 3 brand new shows a week. I don't listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
My editing consists of, I put an intro at the beginning, I put an outro at the end, I take a break in the middle while I'm recording. It's basically just a long pause, and then I fill that with some ads for other shows. I put a song in there from my local band. I'll put a couple random things in there. And the only part I'll listen to a little bit here and there just so I can snag a little snippet to put at the end of the outro. Other than that, I don't listen to my shows.
Yeah.
When I first started, of course, my first 2 years, I did it as a live radio show, and I didn't record it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
By the time I started recording, I probably had not improved at all. But no, over time, I think... Because I always had a co-host or a guest co-host, somebody to fall back on. But once COVID hit, it's been just me and somebody on Zoom. And most of the time it's somebody I've never met before.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can get a little awkward. That's a lot of people don't know the way that the news story started on the Life radio show was out of necessity.
Probably time killers. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a guest on that just doesn't want to talk, or the conversation's not going anywhere. I got tired of, in a live show, you have to fill that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how the news stories got started, as just a way to try to promote some kind of conversation between us. And it's been a lot of fun interviewing a lot of people that I hadn't talked to before, especially, doing everything on Zoom since the COVID-19 crap. It's been interesting, some of the people I've gotten to interview. There are some people I was set up to interview that I thought this is going to be awkward, that ended up being great. One a while back, actually it just came out in the last week or two. I interviewed Ted Lange, who you might know as Isaac from the Love Boat.
I always thought it was Lang.
It's Lange. I thought it was Lang too until he corrected me.
Oh, yeah.
But no,
he's like
super
80
nice
now.
Guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. But I thought I had this guy on my show, and I only knew him as Isaac from the Love Boat, and I never really watched the Love Boat. So it's like, what am I going to talk about with this guy for an hour? And before we even got started, I realized he's a Shakespearean actor. I love Shakespeare. I was an English major. It's like, okay, there's something. Yeah. He was a director, and he directed a one-man show based on Paul Lawrence Dunbar, who's a Dayton native. So, I mean, there was so much in that conversation with him that I was totally unexpected. That I was totally not expecting. And it was a super... every now and then you have a show like that, because I was really nervous going into that show because I had no idea.
Do you do a pre-interview?
How we were going to connect. No.
Okay.
Because I go into these things blind most of the time. Yeah. And that's, to me, it's fun doing that, but it can also be very frightening. Because I don't do a lot of research on people. Every now and then I'll look up a little bit. I'll like pull up their IMDb. Some of the bigger names that Billy Van Zandt, I interviewed him, and I had heard of him before. He's been in a lot of shows. He's written a lot of shows.
Not from Skinner.
But I always try to look for some connection.
It's not Leonard Skinner, right?
No, not Leonard Skinner. I was thinking Billy Zane for a second.
Okay.
The dude.
No,
yeah.
Billy Van Zandt is best known as
I'm thinking Ronnie Van Zandt. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ronnie and Jimmy Van Zandt.
And Donnie Van Zandt was 38 Special, and one of them was 30. Okay, I'm sorry. Go on.
But I got to looking at his bio like maybe 5 minutes before we started the show with him.
Yeah.
And I found my connection from his bio that he wrote a play that was I got to perform in at Troy Civic Theater, and he played the same character I did, because he wrote the play and he was in the original production of it. He played the character of Leslie Arthur.
Well, that's
and
cool.
That's the character I played when they did that production at Troy Theater up there. So that's where I always try to find some way that I can connect with people in order to have a good conversation with them.
Right. Yeah.
And once I saw that on there, I was like, man, I have my connection. And that's sometimes it's hard to do. But
yeah,
well, sometimes going in blind to an interview, it really throws you for a loop. There was somebody that's this publicist I worked with set me up with this young woman that wrote a book. That's all the information I had. Is she'd had a book.
She wrote a book. Okay,
wrote a book. She wants to promote it. I said, okay, cool. Love to have her on the show. So for the most part, I'm a comedy show. And I start talking to her. It's like, well, tell me a little bit about your book. Her book is called is her name. I had a fun time interviewing her, but there are people in Oregon that swear she's a murderer.
Oh no.
Okay.
And her book is about how her husband died years ago. She was a widow. She lived by herself for a while, and she started dating this guy that worked for the railroad near there. And she dated him for like 5 or 6 months. And then one day he disappeared. And like 3 weeks later, she found his dead body on her property, which is on a mountain in Oregon in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
That's what her book's about. And I had no idea. I'm going into a comedy podcast and tell me about your book.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, so
it was exactly my reaction. It was like, oh.
In my world, when we say we killed, that's like on a stage and people are really laughing. And then if we don't do well, we died.
Right.
That sounds different than what you're talking about.
Right. And once we got through that, she thanked me later because she said it was the first time she's ever done an interview and talked about that and not had a breakdown.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we ended up doing the news stories after the break that I always do. And it was a blast. I mean, we had fun. It's just, it totally threw me for a loop because I had no frickin' idea.
Yeah. So again, Don Smith, thank you so much for having us on your show. Good luck, whatever you do in the future. We know you're going to be great, and let us know what you're up to. We'll be happy to have you on our show again if you're interested.
Absolutely. Yeah. And everyone out there, make sure that you're following us on our Facebook, on our Twitter, on our Instagram. We are putting together a Patreon. We've been talking about that forever, but we're very close to doing it. We just need to type in some things and get it done.
We're like, by God, we're going to do it.
But we've got some options that, we have some things I think that people are really going to like. Darin and I have talked about. One of them is letting patrons vote on what the episode title will be.
Oh, I think people will pay $20, $30 for that purpose.
One of my favorite things personally to do on this is when I'm editing, I listen for things that I think would make a good episode title, and there's usually about 4 or 5 of them at least.
Right.
And I send you the ideas, and normally you pick one and I agree with you and we go. Sometimes we go back and forth.
Right.
Sometimes Apple doesn't like what we picked, or I think they don't, and I have to pick something else entirely.
Like our last episode.
But in general, I think that would be a fun thing to do. Unedited to a degree, feeds, video feeds, different things. We have some ideas that we want to make it valuable to you.
You know what? I'm starting to think that if Chris Hughes becomes a Patreon, we might just unban him.
Now you're bribing him. But the other piece of it is
or he could bribe us.
Yeah.
But I'm not bribing him.
Merchandise coupon, so instead of a sweatshirt being $300, it'll be $150. Something like that. I don't know. We'll figure something out. We are looking at. I'm looking at.
You really know how to sell it.
I'm looking at a different different merchandise supplier, and that's one thing that Patreon does, is you can design your merchandise through them and make that part of the tier.
Yeah.
So, the 3 people out there that bought something,
right?
I hope they're not mad when they see that the $50 mug they bought is now available for $2.
Right. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. And this has been Irritable Dad Syndrome.
Well, we've come to that time again when we have to say goodbye. But don't worry, we'll be back again soon. Remember, you can always listen to previous episodes on our website, irritabledadsyndrome.com. Thanks for listening. Except for you, Chris Hughes.